Have you ever had one of those moments where you wake up and your entire world has shifted? Where something you thought was impossible becomes the most real thing in your life? Where you discover parts of yourself you never knew existed, and suddenly everything you thought you knew about who you are gets turned upside down? I'm Mason. I'm 22, and 3 weeks ago, I would have laughed if you told me magic was real. I definitely would have laughed if you said I'd spend days living as a woman, and I absolutely would have called you insane if you suggested I'd fall in love with my best friend while doing it. Let me start from the beginning. Aiden had been my best friend since middle school. We were those guys who stuck together through everything. Awkward teenage years, college parties, failed relationships, job searches. He was the serious one, always planning ahead, while I was more go with the flow. We balanced each other out perfectly. So, when he called me last Tuesday sounding completely devastated, I knew something major had happened. "She's gone, man," he said before I even finished saying hello. "Brielle actually did it. She broke up with me." I'd seen this coming for months. Brielle had been pulling away, making excuses, looking uncomfortable whenever I hung out with them. But Aiden had been with her for 3 years, since sophomore year of college, and he was completely blindsided. "I'm sorry, dude," I said. "You want to come over? We can order pizza and play some games or whatever." "Actually," he said, and his voice got weird. Excited, but also nervous. "I need to show you something. Can I come over now?" An hour later, Aiden was sitting on my couch holding what looked like an old leather journal. His eyes were red from crying, but there was this manic energy about him that made me nervous. "Okay, I know this is going to sound crazy," he started, "but I found this in my grandmother's attic when I was helping clean it out last weekend." He opened the journal, and I could see handwritten pages covered in symbols and drawings. It looked like something from a medieval movie. "It's a spell book, a real one. I tested it yesterday, and it actually works." I stared at him. "Aiden, man, I know you're hurting, but..." I made a pencil float across my kitchen table for 10 minutes. I turned a glass of water into wine. "This thing is real, Mason." The way he said it made me stop laughing. Aiden wasn't the type to make stuff up, especially not when he was this upset. He was the most rational, logical person I knew. "Okay," I said, slowly. "Let's say it's real. What does this have to do with me?" His expression got intense. "I have a plan to get Brielle back, but I need your help." That's when he explained the craziest idea I'd ever heard. There was going to be a big party this weekend, one that Brielle would definitely be at. Aiden wanted to use the spellbook to transform me into a woman, bring me as his date, and make Brielle jealous enough to realize what she'd lost. "You want to turn me into a girl?" I said flatly. "Temporarily," he said quickly. "Just for the party. The spell only lasts a few hours unless I actively maintain it. You'd be back to normal by the next morning." I looked at him like he'd lost his mind. "Aiden, that's insane." "Is it though?" He leaned forward. "Think about it. You're tall, you have good bone structure, and with the right body, you'd be stunning. Brielle would be so jealous she wouldn't know what to do with herself." "And what exactly am I supposed to get out of this?" "I'll owe you big time. Plus, aren't you even a little curious what it would be like?" I'm not gonna admit it, but yeah, there was a tiny part of me that was curious. I'd always wondered what it felt like to be a woman, how different the physical sensations were, how people treated you differently. But actually doing it, that was insane. "I need to think about it," I said.
"The party's Saturday," Aiden said. "That gives us 4 days to prepare if you say yes." "Prepare how?" "Well, you'd need to practice, learn how to walk and talk and act like a woman. We'd need to figure out clothes and makeup and all that stuff." He paused. Look, I know it sounds crazy, but I'm desperate here. Brielle was everything to me. I looked at my best friend, this guy who'd been there for me through everything, and saw how completely broken he was. How could I say no? Okay, I said, but just for the party. And you owe me huge. The relief on his face was immediate. Thank you. Seriously, Mason, thank you so much. So how does this work exactly? Aiden flipped through the spellbook until he found a page covered in diagrams of human figures. This is the transformation spell. It lets me reshape your body however I want, but I have to visualize it clearly or it doesn't work right. And you've tested this? Not on people yet, but I turned my neighbor's cat into a dog yesterday and then back again. The cat was fine. That's reassuring, I said sarcastically. We'll start tomorrow night, Aiden said. Just for an hour or two so you can get used to it gradually. The next evening, I was standing in my living room feeling like an idiot while Aiden read from the spellbook. The words weren't in English. They sounded Latin maybe, or something older. As he spoke, I felt this weird tingling sensation starting in my fingertips and spreading through my whole body. Then everything changed. The first thing I noticed was how different my center of gravity felt. I was shorter, probably by 4 or 5 inches, and my weight was distributed completely differently. I looked down and nearly fell over. I had breasts, actual breasts, pushing out the front of my t-shirt. They were substantial too, probably a C cup, and I could feel their weight with every breath I took. Holy shit, I said, and even my voice was different. Higher, softer, but still recognizably mine. Aiden was staring at me with wide eyes. It worked! It actually worked! I stumbled to the bathroom mirror and gasped. The person looking at me was definitely female, but I could still see traces of my own features. My jawline was softer, my cheekbones higher, my lips fuller. My hair was longer too, falling in waves past my shoulders. This is insane, I said, running my hands over my new face. My skin felt incredibly soft. How do you feel? Aiden asked. Weird, different. Everything feels more sensitive. I touched my breasts tentatively and jumped at the sensation. These are going to take some getting used to. We spent the next hour with me just walking around, trying to get comfortable in this new body. It was harder than I expected. My hips moved differently, my balance was off, and I kept getting distracted by the way my breasts moved when I walked. Tomorrow we'll work on voice and mannerisms, Aiden said, as he prepared to change me back. And we need to think about what name you'll use. Lana, I said without thinking. If I'm doing this, call me Lana. The next few nights followed the same pattern. Aiden would transform me, and I'd spend 2 or 3 hours learning how to be a woman. We practiced walking in heels, which was a nightmare at first. We worked on voice modulation and facial expressions. Aiden even bought makeup and spent an evening teaching himself how to apply it so he could help me. By Thursday night, I was starting to feel almost comfortable in being Lana. The movements were becoming more natural, and I was surprised by how much I enjoyed the way I looked. There was something undeniably appealing about being beautiful in this completely different way. You look incredible, Aiden said as he finished doing my makeup that night. Brielle is going to lose her mind. I looked at myself in the mirror and had to admit he was right. I looked stunning. Long dark hair, bright eyes. If I'd seen her at a party, I definitely would have tried to talk to her. Are you sure about this plan? What if she just gets angry instead of jealous? She'll be jealous, he said confidently. I know Brielle. She's possessive even when she doesn't want something herself.
Saturday night arrived faster than I expected. I was nervous as hell as Aiden transformed me in his car outside the party venue. We'd bought a dress specifically for tonight, a black number that showed off my legs and just enough cleavage to be interesting without being slutty. Remember, Aiden said as we walked toward the house, "You're Lana. You're confident, flirty, and totally into me. Just follow my lead." The moment we walked into the party, every conversation stopped, I could feel eyes on me from all directions, and it was both thrilling and terrifying. I'd never been the center of attention like this. "Aiden," someone called out. "Who's your friend?" "This is Lana," Aiden said, putting his arm around my waist. The casual intimacy of the gesture sent an unexpected shiver through me. "Lana, these are some friends from college." I smiled and said hello, trying to channel confidence I didn't really feel. But as the night went on, I found myself settling into the role. People were drawn to Lana in a way they'd never been drawn to Mason. Guys bought me drinks, girls complimented my dress, and everyone wanted to talk to me. And then I saw Brielle. She was across the room talking to some friends, but her eyes were locked on Aiden and me. Even from a distance, I could see the shock and anger on her face. "She's watching," I murmured to Aiden. "Perfect. Let's give her something to really look at." Aiden pulled me onto the makeshift dance floor, and suddenly we were pressed together, moving to the music. His hands were on my waist, my arms around my neck, and for a moment, I forgot this was all pretend. Being in Lana's body, feeling desired and beautiful, dancing with someone who was looking at me like I was the only person in the room, it was intoxicating. We danced for 3 songs, getting closer and more intimate with each one. By the end, Aiden's hands were roaming over my body, and I was responding in ways that surprised me. When he leaned down to whisper something in my ear, I actually felt my breath catch. That's when Brielle stormed over. "What the hell is this?" she demanded, loud enough for half the party to hear. "Brielle," Aiden said calmly, "I'd like you to meet Lana." "Don't play games with me," Brielle snapped. "You think bringing some random girl here is gonna make me jealous?" "I think," Aiden said, pulling me closer, "that you made your choice and I made mine." The look on Brielle's face was pure fury. She opened her mouth to say something else, then apparently thought better of it and stalked off toward the exit. "Did it work?" I asked. "Look at her. She's completely losing it." He was right. Brielle was by the door, visibly upset, probably telling her friends what a jerk Aiden was. Mission accomplished, I guess. But instead of feeling victorious, I felt empty, like we'd just done something cruel for no good reason. "Let's get some air," I said.
We found a quiet spot on the back patio and sat down on a bench. The night was warm, and I could hear the party continuing inside. "So what now?" I asked. "Do you go after her?" Aiden was quiet for a long moment. "You know what's weird? I thought I'd feel better seeing her reaction, but I don't. I just feel kind of hollow. Maybe because revenge isn't actually satisfying? Maybe." He looked at me. "Or maybe because I've been having more fun tonight with you than I ever did with her." Something in his voice made me look at him more carefully. There was an intensity in his eyes that hadn't been there before. "Aiden, I know this is crazy," he said, "but being here with you, seeing you like this, it feels right in a way that nothing with Brielle ever did." My heart was beating faster. "You're just confused because I look different." "Am I?" He reached over and took my hand. "You're still you, Mason. You're still funny and smart and loyal and all the things I've always loved about you. But now what? Now you're also the most beautiful woman I've ever seen." We stared at each other for a moment, and I felt something shift between us. This wasn't about making Brielle jealous anymore. This was something else, entirely. Something I wasn't sure I was ready for. "We should probably get going," I said. "Yeah, probably." But neither of us moved. The car ride back to Aiden's place was quiet, but it was a charged kind of quiet. Every time he shifted gears, his hand would brush against my leg. Every time I adjusted my dress or moved my hair, I could feel him stealing glances at me. By the time we pulled into his apartment complex, the tension was thick enough to cut with a knife. "Do you want to come up?" he asked. I mean, for the spell reversal. And maybe we could have a drink, talk about tonight. I knew the smart thing was to say no, to go home, let him turn me back into Mason, and pretend this whole weird evening had never happened. But looking at Aiden, really looking at him, I realized I didn't want it to end. Okay, I said. His apartment felt different as Lana. Everything seemed bigger, more masculine, more intimate. Aiden poured us both drinks, wine for me, beer for him, and we sat on his couch. So, that was quite a night. Yeah, it was. I took a sip of wine and felt it go straight to my head. Between the drinks at the party and the emotional intensity of the evening, I was definitely feeling buzzed. Did we accomplish what you wanted? I don't know. Did we? There was something in the way he asked it that made me think we weren't talking about Brielle anymore. Aiden, what are we doing here? I don't know, he admitted. All I know is that I don't want tonight to end. I don't want to turn you back yet. Why not? Because, he said, moving closer to me on the couch, I've never felt about anyone the way I feel about you right now. My pulse was racing. This is crazy. I'm your best friend. I'm a guy. Are you? Right now, I mean? I looked down at myself, at the dress, the breasts, the smooth legs crossed femininely on his couch. Right now, I guess not. Then right now, he said, reaching up to touch my face, can I kiss you? I should have said no. I should have pulled away, demanded he change me back, gone home and never spoken of this again. Instead, I found myself leaning into his touch. Yes, I whispered. The kiss was soft at first, tentative, like we were both afraid of what we were starting. But then I responded, and suddenly his arms were around me, and we were pressed together on the couch, and it was nothing like any kiss I'd ever experienced. Being kissed as a woman was completely different. My body responded in ways that were foreign and exciting. I felt soft and feminine and desired, and when Aiden's hands started, exploring, I didn't want him to stop. Are you sure about this? He asked, against my lips. No, I said, honestly, but I don't want to stop.
What happened next was a blur of sensations I'd never experienced before. Aiden carried me to his bedroom and we fell onto his bed in a tangle of limbs and desperate kisses. He unzipped my dress slowly, reverently, like he was unwrapping something precious. When he saw me in just my bra and panties, he stopped breathing for a moment. You're incredible, he said. I pulled him down to me and we kissed again, deeper this time. His hands were everywhere. We ended up, dancing. Yes, that's what we did. We danced. Yes, that is definitely a dance. Afterward, we lay tangled together, both breathing hard and trying to process what had just happened. That was... I started. Yeah, he agreed. It was. We fell asleep like that, curled up together, and I had the strangest dreams about flying and floating and being someone completely different. I woke up the next morning to sunlight streaming through Aiden's bedroom window. For a moment, I was disoriented. Why was I in Aiden's bed? Why did my body feel so different? Then it all came rushing back. The party, the kiss, the incredible night we'd shared. I looked down at myself and saw that I was still in Lana, still had breasts and curves and everything that came with them. Aiden was still asleep next to me, one arm thrown over my waist. He looked peaceful and young and beautiful, and I felt my heart do something complicated in my chest. What had we done? I slipped out of bed carefully, trying not to wake him, and padded to the bathroom. Looking at myself in the mirror was surreal. My hair was messy from sleep and dancing, my lips were swollen from kissing, and there were small marks on my neck and collarbone where Aiden had been particularly enthusiastic. I looked like a woman who'd been thoroughly loved, and the thought made me blush. "Good morning," Aiden's voice came from behind me. I turned to see him in the doorway, wearing just boxers and looking uncertain. "Morning," I said. "How are you feeling?" It was such a loaded question. How was I feeling? Confused, exhilarated, terrified, satisfied, guilty, happy, all at the same time. "I don't know," I said honestly. "What about you?" "Same." He stepped closer. "Do you regret it?" I thought about it seriously. Did I regret the best experience of my life? Did I regret feeling beautiful and desired and connected to my best friend in a way I never had before? No, I don't regret it. But I don't know what it means either. Neither do I. He reached out and touched my face gently. "But I know I don't want to change you back yet. The spell," I started, "is still active. I've been maintaining it subconsciously. It'll last as long as I want it to." "And how long do you want it to?" "Forever," he said without hesitation. "But I know that's not fair to ask." I stared at him. "Forever?" I know it's crazy. I know it's selfish, but Mason, last night it was everything I never knew I wanted. You're everything I never knew I wanted. My head was spinning. But I'm not really a woman. This isn't really me. "Isn't it?" He gestured to the mirror. "That's your face, your expressions, your personality, your sense of humor. The only thing that's different is your body." That's kind of a big difference. Is it though? How do you feel right now? In this body, I mean. I considered the question seriously. How did I feel? Different, obviously, but also natural. Like this body fit me in ways my original one never had. Like I was more myself somehow, not less. "I feel good," I admitted. "Really good?" "Then maybe we don't have to decide anything right now. Maybe you could stay like this for a few more days. See how you feel." "And then what?" "Then we figure it out together." I looked at myself in the mirror again, then at Aiden's reflection behind me. We looked like a couple. Him tall and masculine, me soft and feminine. We looked right together. "A few more days," I said, "to see how it feels." The relief on his face was immediate. "Really?" "Really. But Aiden, if I'm going to stay like this, even temporarily, there are things we need to talk about. Like what people are going to think. Like how I'm supposed to explain why Mason disappeared and Lana showed up. Like what happens if I decide I want to stay this way permanently?" "We'll figure it out," he said, pulling me against him. "We'll figure all of it out." I leaned into his embrace and felt that same rightness I'd felt the night before. Maybe this was crazy. Maybe we were making a huge mistake. But for the first time in my life, I felt like I was exactly where I was supposed to be. "Okay," I said, "but first I need a shower, and probably breakfast, and you need to call me Lana while I'm like this." "Lana?" he said, testing the name. "I like it." "Good, because I think I might like it too." As we headed toward the shower together, I caught one more glimpse of myself in the mirror. The woman looking back at me was glowing with happiness and possibility. Maybe I didn't know what the future held. Maybe this whole situation was insane. But for the first time in my life, I felt like I was becoming who I was really meant to be.
And if that person happened to be a woman in love with her best friend, well, stranger things had probably happened.